YouTube? Alright, so today I'm doing a video that literally nobody has asked for at all. It's just one that I want to do. So sometime over the course of like scrolling through YouTube, I found a video by a girl named Kristen Loria. If anybody knows who this person is. I actually don't follow her. I've actually never watched any of her other videos. I just found this randomly. And she created a tag called Let's Go Deeper tag. And she asks 5 different questions that are like kind of super deep. They're questions about stuff that I really care about, but it's hard to kind of portray that on social media sometimes because it's hard to like continually just talk about deep stuff. It's a lot easier to just like show you my food or whatever. But I'll have the 5 questions down below, and I would love if you guys would answer these in the comment section because I would for sure love to hear what you guys have to say about this. And I just want to share my heart with you guys a little bit and help you get to know me a little bit more and like kind of what makes me tick. So let's just jump right in. The first question is, where does your joy come from? I'm gonna give you the super stereotypical Christian answer and say the Lord. Let me explain. Well, I definitely can say like I don't hop out of the bed every morning like, oh my God, the Lord, yes, I'm so happy. It's not usually like that. I think that there's a difference between happiness and joy. To me, when I think of happiness, happiness to me is like an emotion. It's like you're happy because something happened. You got something that you wanted. I don't know. Happiness to me is like an emotion that can kind of come and go. But joy to me is more like you think of a person who is a joyful person. And to me, a person who's joyful is someone who has like this everlasting good feeling. Like all the time, no matter what happens, they kind of feel like everything's okay. They feel like, I'm all right. Everything's good. Like people with a positive outlook, I guess. And to me, like, I'm not a naturally positive person. I'm not naturally optimistic whatsoever. So for me, I feel like for me to feel optimistic and positive, I've got to have like a reason. And for me, God is my reason. I know that no matter how bad things get, no matter what happens to me, no matter what happens in my life, I know that there's like a hope for me. I know that no matter what happens, someone's at my back. Someone's looking out for me. And just learning more about God every day, especially now that I'm in ministry school, and learning about everything that He's done for me and everything that God thinks about me, it's hard to not fall in love with Him. So when I'm going through like a really tough time and there's like a bunch of stuff going on in my life, or for whatever reason I'm feeling really down, I know that if I spend some time in prayer or if I listen to some like praise and worship music and I'm reminded of who God is and what His presence in my life means for me ultimately, I get to have that sigh of relief that I feel like I would never have otherwise. I feel like when stuff is going wrong and I'm afraid that stuff is not going to work out in my life, I can always know like, okay, His word says that He knows the plans for me and His thoughts for me, and His thoughts for me are good. So that's where my joy comes from. Next question. How do you feel most loved? Okay, if you have not read this book that I'm about to mention, I highly suggest that you read it. There's a book called The 5 Love Languages, and it breaks down the 5 like major ways that most people receive love. I think it's physical touch, words of affirmation, spending time or like time spent with somebody, gifts, and acts of service. I want to say that those are the 5. So as you go through this book, they have little tests to kind of help yourself figure out which like love language you are and you have. And I read the book a number of years ago, and it's still something I kind of go back to as I grow. I know I'm changing as a person, but there are 2 major love languages that I have. My first one for sure is words of affirmation. I feel loved when I'm told that I'm loved. That's why like YouTube comments, social media comments, when you guys Snapchat me, like that means the most to me. And if you guys have ever sent me anything like on Snapchat, like you like typed out a little paragraph just like super encouraging, I probably screenshotted it because I keep like a little folder on my phone for like the days that I feel like nobody cares about YouTube and everyone hates me and people don't want to hear what I have to say and I'm not helping anybody. I'll go back to that folder and be like, okay, like people care about me. And with my husband, like the best thing that he can do to make me feel loved is just like tell me or write me a letter. And he'll do that all the time. He'll write me little cards and just say, I love you and this is why, and here's all these descriptive words to tell you why I love you. I would rather someone tell me that they love me or tell me things about me that they enjoy more than anything else. That for sure is gonna get the job done. That's how I feel loved. My second love language, which came out of nowhere, this was never how I thought, this was never who I was as a person, but I'm finding it more over the last couple of years, is that my second love language is gifts. So like that's why you guys probably see me on Instagram and stuff or Snapchat posting a lot of little like gifts that Matt gives me because he knows that that's my love language. So probably once every other week he's getting me something small or leaving me something that he made or something that he got from the store that's just little. Or recently he visited me at school and he brought me like a donut and a coffee. To me that's a gift and that means so much to me. And if you're wondering what your love language is, and like I said, I highly suggest that you check out the book. It's called The 5 Love Languages by some authors that I don't remember. It'll be down here most likely. But yeah, check it out. Next question, what is something you have overcome? I wouldn't say that I've completely overcome this. I think at the young age of 25, this is a really big one to have completely overcome, and I think that this is just gonna continue to be overcome with age. But the issue that I feel like I've overcome a lot is self-consciousness, like severe self-consciousness. I remember being in like first grade and second grade and being so severely like preoccupied with what my classmates thought about me. I would compare myself to my friends all the time, compare our bodies and our hair color, and try to decide, oh, is she better than me? Is she worse than me? And then as I got older, like in, you know, middle school and high school, I feel like every single decision I made was based off of what was gonna feed my ego, what was gonna make me feel good about myself. All the friendships that I made, all the boys that I dated, the things that I did with my free time, it was totally like I had no problem going against my own moral code of ethics to do something that made me feel like somebody liked me, or that I was pretty, or that I was special. And I think that's kind of like a common thread for a lot of like teenage girls these days, with like tons, I mean, back in the day it was just like TV and magazines that girls were constantly bombarded with, but now social media, it's like at your fingertips constantly. There are tons of doctored photos of beautiful women who look perfect all the time, like just everywhere. And social media makes you feel like even all of your friends at school are perfect too, because all they're posting is like their perfect edited photos with their flawless skin and their perfect makeup. And like, I get it, I do the same thing. Like I post my best shots too. It's just, I think it's just what we do. But all that to say that I think it's just created this environment for women where we just never feel good enough. It's so hard in the world that we live in today to feel like we're enough. And like I said, this is still something I feel like I'm overcoming in bits and pieces, but it's so much better today than it has been in years past. Like, I honestly can say I don't think most of my decisions nowadays are made based around what's gonna make me feel better about myself. I mean, you could probably dig psychologically into anybody's brain, and like 90% of what we do is to feel good about ourselves, but like I don't seek out opportunities that are gonna make me feel good. Does that make sense? And I just don't feel bad about myself anymore. I don't feel like I'm unattractive. Whether or not somebody else might think I'm fat doesn't really bother me. You know, I know that there are people on the internet who really don't like me and talk about me. That doesn't bother me. I think it's just when I came to a place of knowing exactly who I was, why I was the way I was, and what I was trying to do with my life and what I was doing with my time and my energy, and I was certain of that, I knew my motives for sure, then it was so much easier when people would say bad stuff about me, or when I could tell somebody didn't like me. It was just so much easier for me to not care. Because for them to not like me didn't make me question whether or not I liked me. For them to not like what I do didn't make me question if I like what I do. I know I like what I do. I know that I like me. I think a lot of wonderful things about myself. Not like to be conceited, but you can't tell me that I'm worthless. You can't tell me that somebody's better than me because of how they look or how much money they make or their social status. That's just not stuff I'm gonna believe. And so once you get really convinced about a couple of things about yourself and you focus on that and you don't let stuff in your ear about what people think about you or your potential downfalls. We all have downfalls. I have plenty of flaws and people will point them out. And while that sucks, I know enough good about myself and I'm confident in what I'm doing enough to know that the existence of my flaws and the perception that people have about them is not gonna destroy me. But of course I wanna get better at that. I wanna overcome it even more because for sure I have bad days. For sure I have days where I do feel fat or what people say about me does get to me. Like, I'm only human, but definitely something I know I've overcome a lot. What is one of your biggest struggles / weaknesses? I guess the thing that sticks out to me, the thing that I feel like interferes with my life the most, is my super crappy negative outlook sometimes. I think I've said before, I might have even said it in this video, that like naturally I'm kind of a pessimistic person. I don't look on the bright side. I don't expect good things. I don't have a positive outlook. And I have come a long way, like a super long way, to where people tell me they think that I seem like a positive person, like an upbeat, happy, expect the best kind of person, which makes me feel like, wow, I'm fooling everybody. But for real, it's definitely probably one of my biggest weaknesses, and it makes my life so much harder sometimes because I will expect the worst. When like a bad situation comes up, I'll expect the worst case scenario and I will get so emotionally invested in that worst case scenario that it drags like the rest of my life down with it. It's really hard for me, like if like a small bad thing happens in my day, it will just, to me, I'm like, the day is ruined. Everything sucks. Like this day could not possibly get better. Like this happens all the time. Like it's so easy for something small to go wrong in your day. Like I could drop my coffee on my way out the door, and for the next 3 hours, guaranteed, I'm gonna be in a bad mood about it. I'm gonna be short with people. I'll be snappy. I'm gonna text Matt like a 4-page text like, this day sucks, this happened, and I can't believe this, and blah, 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 blah. And I'll just have like a stinky mindset for hours, and it's so annoying. And I'll try to reason with myself too, be like, Lynette, you dropped your coffee. It ain't that deep. You can be happy. You can have a positive expectation. And I'll be like, okay, Lynette, let's like think of some like positive stuff for today. And I'm thinking that. The rest of me is like, no, no, no. So I'm like laughing about it, but it actually really, really sucks. And this is something that I'm putting a lot of focus into changing because, like I said, it can like wipe out whole days of my life. It was a few days ago. The whole first half of my day, I was in a terrible, terrible, terrible mood because of one dumb thing that happened. This dumb thing took place in about 30 seconds. And I was in a bad mood about it for like 15 hours. So yeah, and how I'm going about trying to fix that is just continually fighting back. Recognizing when I'm getting in that negative mindset and being like, all right, we're not gonna stay here. We're gonna keep trying to get back into a positive place. Even if it takes all day, we're not just gonna sit here and be in a funk about it. Like, sometimes I need some time. Sometimes I need like a good hour to just be in a funk because I know no matter how much I try and fight with myself for that hour, I'm mad and I wanna be mad. But then after that hour or 2 hours, like depending on the severity of the situation, I start working on myself. Like, all right, we're gonna act like an adult and be happy and positive and the world doesn't revolve around you and get up. So that's that. The last question, what legacy do you want to leave? It's kind of a weird question. I don't think I've ever thought about my legacy. I don't think I've ever thought of the word legacy. But if I had to think about what I want to leave to people, and I don't know if this means like after I'm gone or just like now, like what am I working toward? What's the effect I want to leave on people? I guess it would just be hope. I know that maybe I could be more specific. Maybe I should be saying like, oh, that you would learn to love the Lord, that you would find God, that you would realize that you can take control of your health and be a healthy person. Maybe those are parts of what I want to leave or the effect that I want to have on people. But in general, I just want people to have hope. The world is so hopeless nowadays. There's so much hurt and there's so much pain and there's so many people hurting each other. There's so much people thinking that it's funny or cool to be rude to each other, to subtweet each other, to be petty on the internet. Like, that's cute nowadays to a lot of girls. And they don't even realize how damaging and hurtful it is to other people. Part of what I also want people to get from me is that, like, just be nice. Like, niceness goes so far, kindness goes so far. I can't tell you how many times I've been having a terrible day or someone hurt me or whatever, and somebody just saying one kind word to me or giving me a hug when I really needed it made all the difference in the world. I know that this maybe sounds like super like Pollyanna, like Lynette, you're expecting something that just doesn't exist in today's world, but it exists in my world. I try to be kind. I try really hard not to be hurtful to anybody, not to say negative things or rude things to people. I try not to cause pain. If we all do our best to sow goodness into the world and not sow any more pain, any more discord, any more division, any more racism or sexism or anything like that, this world can be a better place. Your circle, your community can be better. Your life can be better. And so what I hope that people get from me is just hope. And then also hope in God. Realizing that God is real and that he does love you. I know a lot of you guys that follow me, you know I'm a Christian, but you're not a Christian, and I'm okay with that. But to be honest, I hope one day that you do find the Lord. I hope that you do have a personal encounter with God and you realize all the things that I've been talking about, it's not in my head, it's not made up, it's my personal experience with the God of this world. And I hope that watching me live my life and watching what I go through and seeing, I don't know, I guess my struggles and how I've learned to overcome and how I found so much good in a world that is so terrible, I hope that that inspires you to look to where I'm looking to. I guess that answers that question, kinda? I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this video up because I'm sure it was super long, and if you watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. I love you guys. I love videos like this. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching something like this. And like I said, put your answers below if you can think of them, or if you want to answer them, and I would love to read them. So again, thank you for watching and see ya!